Recently, Dani released Muck Update 3, and it is somehow even bigger than Update 2, so I've categorized the update with timestamps, and let's just hop straight in with the first section. Accessibility. You can now invert the mouse on the X and Y axes separately if you need to, instead of only being able to invert both at the same time or neither. Next, and the main point of the update, the story. There is now an ending to Muck, allowing you to complete the game. This is optional, and you can just ignore it if you wish to muck around forever, which is pretty epic, as it allows players to feel accomplished upon completing the game, but doesn't force them to play a certain way. For this ending to work, there is also a new broken ship structure that spawns somewhere random on the map and can be found by collecting a map that I'll mention soon. In order to use the ship and continue the Muck story, you must repair it to get it all going. To do this, you need things like rope, ruby, every type of wood except birch, all 5 of the new gems that I'll mention soon, flex fiber, most of the metals, an ancient core, and various other items. Once repaired, you can sail off on the boat, at which point the land around you floods and you fight the final boss, Bob the Dragon. Okay, now onto the mobs. The first change to mobs is a tweak to all mobs that should mean hopefully they don't move through objects, trees, etc. as much anymore. Then we have the 2 new enemies, starting with the Guardian, which is a mini-boss that must be fought to collect the gems which I mentioned earlier that are used to fix the ship, meaning they are essential to finish the game. The Guardian has 3 attacks and appears harder to kill than both of the previous bosses. These 3 attacks are, first, the Haymaker, a close range attack consisting of rapid fire punches at the nearest player. Second, the Beam, a medium range attack that shoots a laser beam out of his hand and does a large amount of damage, tracks and follows the targeted player and can only be stopped by using trees and items as shield from it. Finally, the Undercarriage Railer, where the Guardian shoots a large laser beam straight up from the ground that does a decent amount of damage. Then there's Bob the Dragon, a boss which can be fought by fixing the ship and sailing into the ocean, where Bob will fly down and begin his attacks, of which there are, like the rest of the bosses, 3. First, Fireball, where the dragon shoots a fireball at the players. This is fairly easy to dodge, but still does decent damage. Second, Boat Slam, where Bob becomes an enraged toddler and slams his fist onto the surface of the boat. This is a very close combat attack. And finally, the Piano Man, where Bob repeatedly plays the boat like a piano, swiping his fists across the entire boat, which could definitely catch some players off guard. Now, the new resources. Obamium ore can be found throughout the world, like every other ore we've seen so far. It seems to be roughly the same rarity as adamantite and is a darkish pink. Rubies, on the other hand, can only be found in the new caves and are rather abundant within them. They are a transparent red crystal that sticks out of either of the walls or the ceiling of the cave. These caves being a new structure that spawns throughout the world, and although being called caves are more like caverns than cave systems. They seem to be fairly uncommon as they spawn fairly far apart from each other, but can still be found fairly easily after a bit of adventuring. These caves are also a hotspot for ores and can spawn any ores in Muck alongside the rubies just mentioned. Inside they also spawn a green chest or 2 which can have the same drops as the cart or hut you find around the rest of the world. Now for the new items. Maps are now a thing. They're used to find the new boat and statues for the Guardians that drop the gems which I mentioned earlier. These maps have a random chance to spawn in green chests and once picked up create waypoints on your in-game map which can be accessed using the M button. The new gems are then used to fix the ship. There are 5 different colours of gem and each boss is colour coded to which gem they drop. There's then the new sword which is called the Nightblade. It is crafted with 1 black shard which is an extremely rare drop from chests, 15 dark oak wood and 10 Obamium bars. The reason it is so rare is as it does slightly more damage than Grunk's sword, making it the best melee weapon in the game. The final items are the 2 new materials, Ruby and Obamium. Ruby is found in the new caves and is only used to fix the ship, and Obamium is found scattered around the map like any other ore and is currently used to fix the ship and make the Nightblade. Other. The map is no longer as redundant as it was. Not only can you now see waypoints on it now, you can also see your fellow players, and your own icon has an arrow pointing to which direction you are looking and moving in. Dani has also fixed a bug where the background music wouldn't play, and finally, Dani has sorted out the spawns for ores, meaning ores now have a minimum spawn, which means no matter what, you will always get enough ore to survive and beat the game. Gameplay. There is now swimming in Muck, which appears to be slightly faster than sprinting on land and requires stamina, and if you run out of stamina while swimming, you begin to drown, which can kill you very quickly, so stops you from swimming very far. Additionally, the terrain generation has been changed slightly, alongside difficulty curves, which have been made slightly harder. The final gameplay change is now that mobs hopefully shouldn't phase through objects too much anymore. At the end of the patch notes, Dani also said, "I'll be working on adding achievements next. Not sure what else, so leave some suggestions if there's anything specific you'd like." So it's clear Dani is still planning to update Muck for at least a little while, which is pretty pog. Alright gamers, peace.